What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing my Shin Godzilla 3:11 analysis. So previously, I did a breakdown of the Shin Godzilla political satire. If you want to go check that out, I highly recommend it, because that is the first part of what is a 3-part series. This is the second part. The third part will be the Shin Godzilla All Easter Eggs video. Now, I know this video has come out late. That is due to some copyright delays, and at a certain point I decided I wasn't really happy with the way the first video turned out, so I'm just going to re-record it. So here I am re-recording it, and I have to say I am sorry for the delays, but the reason that these videos have been delayed is because I wanted to put some more quality into them, and I think you guys will be very happy with the Shin Godzilla All Easter Eggs video, which will be Wednesday's Godzilla Explained video. That will start the trend that I announced on Twitter last night. If you want to know what that trend is, what the new channel schedule is going to look like, go check out my Twitter for more information. So getting right into the Shin Godzilla 3:11 analysis, let's just jump right in, going chronologically through the plot, every reference to the real-life 3:11 tragedy in Japan. To start out, the Aqua Line leaks and floods with blood. This is a representation of the real flooding that happened in Japan. There's an investigation into seeing if an earthquake is the cause of the damage, and everyone seems to be set that it is due to their recent experience, so they're just thinking that it's a repeat event of what happened previously. Citizens underestimate the situation, laughing about it, much like how people in Japan didn't expect the tsunami to be of the magnitude that it really was. When Godzilla is moving up the Tommy River, it is said that there's large-scale flooding. One of the ministers states, "Not again," as a callback to the real-life flooding. Boats are being pushed on land, bridges are being destroyed, and water flows through the streets of Japan. This is a recreation of what happened a few years ago, and it was said from Japanese people in theaters who saw this movie who had also lived through that event that this was a very eerie scene, watching their real life play out on screen. When the Prime Minister states that it is believed the creature will beach itself in the shallows, only to have Godzilla make landfall seconds later, is a direct call out of the real life Prime Minister from 2011, who stated there were no worries regarding the Fukushima power plant, only to have it explode later that day. Some people claim the power plant exploded during his press conference, but others say the press conference was never officially held at all, and the reactor just exploded at some random time. I tried to mediate these two theories by just saying that during his press conference he states that it won't explode, and then later that day it actually did. Kamata-kun has a very silly design. This was intentional. Kamata-kun looks funny so that he will be seriously underestimated by the viewers. Much like the ever-evolving threat of the 3:11 incident, Godzilla starts out harmless offshore, but then he starts to affect things on land. He continues to become a bigger problem in Japan until releasing nuclear devastation upon the country. Kamata-kun's release of blood from his gills is another visual callback to the flooding in Japan, and there was a deleted scene featuring Shinagawa-kun's flood of blood, which was a super obvious reference to the real event. Citizens watch Godzilla from rooftops as he tramples through the Kamata ward, just like how they watched the water rush through their cities in real life. The way through Godzilla blows through buildings in this first scene is symbolic for the way the water tore straight through entire towns along the coast. The dead body buried in rubble represents the high death toll that occurred in 2011. A minimum of 22,000 people were killed during the earthquake and following flooding. The representation of the unrelenting nature that hit Japan a couple years ago is further cemented by the way Godzilla travels straight through all obstacles and destroys anything in his path, like an unforgiving storm. The way Godzilla pushes cars around through the street is a recreation of real events in which water carried many cars through Japan. Unlike an earthquake or a typhoon, Godzilla can be stopped, or at least that's what Akasaka thinks, regardless of if he can or not. The reference to an earthquake and typhoon is a clear nod to the disastrous events of 2011 and the history of natural disaster in Japan as a whole. As I mentioned earlier, the evolution of Godzilla is representative of the evolving threat level in real life as the situation in Japan developed. It is stated that they can stop the problem this time, meaning that although they were powerless to do anything in the past against nature, maybe now they can stop Godzilla. The government disaster team who observes damage is dressed just like the real ministers in 2011. People freak out on Twitter as the radiation spikes in the Shinagawa area. Again, this is a direct reference to the way real people panicked on social media in March of 2011. Compression pumps are used to clean up water damage in 2011. Now these same compression pumps are being used in the Yaguchi plan to take down Godzilla. The atomic breath scene is representative of the Fukushima meltdown, and some iconic newscasts from the real-life disaster are paralleled in this scene. The large refuge centers are set up of mostly women and children. These same refuge centers were set up all over Japan after their real-life crisis. The threat of a nuclear bomb is a clear parallel to the bombs dropped on Japan in 1945. However, the ever-looming threat of nuclear radiation is also a connection to the Fukushima meltdown and the panic that caused. This idea is repeated in the ending of the movie during Rando's speech about how risky fighting Godzilla really is. The uniforms everyone wears in the end of the movie are based off real-life uniforms worn by Japanese workers. There are lots of visual references throughout Shin Godzilla to the 3/11 event that happened in Japan. You can see all of these played out side by side from Shin Godzilla straight to real life in a video I link below. This was a video I made a few months ago. After the event, a bunch of the Japanese staff resigned, much like what happened in real life. The Prime Minister is said to also leave office in the end of the movie. This is again based off real life Prime Minister Naito Kan, the Prime Minister of Japan in 2010 and 2011, who left office after the earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear crisis, based entirely off of his poor response to the situation. If you want to know more about how his poor response relates to the poor response of the Japanese government in Shin Godzilla, I would recommend going and watching the political satire breakdown. That does it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. All sources linked below. See you next time for all Easter eggs explained. D-Man, out.